With over 60,000 mods available on the Nexus, it's no surprise that tons of incredible mods slip through the cracks and don't receive the recognition they so deserve. Today I want to take a look at some of these underrated mods. While I haven't constrained myself to a specific download limit to classify a mod as being underrated, the ones I've selected are generally on the lower end when it comes to downloads, but more so these are mods that I felt haven't received enough attention, and they're ones you've likely never heard of. With the release of the Dragonborn DLC, Bethesda implemented dragon riding, a feature that I wanted to see in Skyrim from its very inception. The premise was simple: shout at a dragon, bending its will to then ride it. The only problem was the implementation of dragon riding was severely lacking. The control you have is limited and it's inherently clunky. Instead of actually controlling the dragon, it feels like you're merely along for the ride. Intuitive dragon riding fixes this by allowing you to input new commands and more easily control dragons. With this mod, there are now 4 modes that exist when dragon riding: flying mode, orbiting mode, hovering mode, and land mode. When in any of these 4 modes, if the forward key is pressed, a flight direction is selected based on the direction your camera is facing. If you move left or right, the dragon will strafe in the corresponding direction. At any time during flight, you could freely toggle fast turning mode, which will increase both the speed and tightness of your turns. You also have full control over your altitude, so you can steer the dragon up or down while flying. It's worth noting that you can remap all control keys via the MCM, and the mod does have built-in support for controllers. As I mentioned earlier, there are multiple dragon riding modes. You can transition between these modes with ease. For example, if you're mid-flight, at any moment you could press the back key and the dragon will transition into hover mode, causing it to fly in place. When in hover mode, you can turn the dragon in any direction of your choosing. If you like to continue flying, you could once again press the forward key and the dragon will take off in that direction. Or press the back key and the dragon will search for the nearest place to land. Similar to hover mode, when in land mode you could pivot the dragon in any direction, and if the forward key is pressed you will take off in that direction. When you engage in combat while dragon riding, the dragon's AI will take over for the duration of the fight, the same as with vanilla Skyrim, with the exception that you will be able to input commands at any time to maneuver the dragon during battle or to otherwise escape. Additionally, the mod makes changes to fast traveling while dragon riding as well. Instead of being hit with a loading screen and teleporting to the location of your choosing, now after you select a fast travel target on the map, your dragon will fly you to that destination in real time. No more loading screens. You can interrupt this trip at any time using the movement keys. With all these combined features, I can safely say that with this mod, dragon riding now lives up to its potential, and sitting at just around 15k downloads, I think this mod is a real hidden gem. Before we continue, I'd like to take a brief moment to announce that I've teamed up with Apex Gaming to create my own custom lineup of PCs that are capable of running a heavily modded Skyrim. The PCs come in 3 tiers, with the last one resembling the build I'm currently running. So if you're in the market for a new PC and would like to support the channel, then click on the link in the description and use code Nostalgia at checkout for up to $250 off. One of Skyrim's most redeeming qualities is its expansive open world and how rewarding it is to explore that world. This next mod, ELAF POI, expands on this premise by scattering a ton of diverse points of interest across both Skyrim and Solstheim that make it that much more rewarding to explore. The new locations primarily consist of graveyards, small camps, and ruins of various kinds. They're placed within some of the more underdeveloped areas of the game and utilize strictly vanilla assets in their creation. As a result, they seamlessly fit into the game to the point when you stumble upon some of these locations you may even question whether they're from a mod or not. I can really appreciate the small details the author included in many of these places that tell a bit of a story, and leave room for you to speculate about the origins of that location. You will also find some fitting enemies such as Draugr awakening at graveyards or Dwemer's spiders activating when approaching the remnants of a Dwemer ruin. You will find relevant items and treasure among these places as well that make them worth exploring thoroughly. The next mod, Phenderix Elements, will radically change how you play as a mage in Skyrim. It has a focus on elemental specialization as well as a new spell learning system that provides a sense of growth unlike any other magic mod I've used before. There are 2 types of points you will progressively earn as you play as a mage. The first will be elemental points, which are granted when you level up and can be used to unlock elemental forms. There are 11 unique elemental forms that provide powerful buffs and enchantments to your character. The fire form provides additional fire resistance that scales with your destruction level, a 15% increase to fire spell damage, and a 15% decrease to the cost of fire spells. While the form is in use, your magicka will gradually drain over time. The basic elemental forms follow this same general principle of increasing the damage inflicted by spells of that element and reducing the spell cost. But a lot of forms have very unique attributes attached to them, such as the wind form providing additional movement speed and jump height that scales with the player's alteration level, or the divine form increasing your health regeneration and healing effectiveness in addition to providing extra damage against the undead. For the sake of time, I won't go over all of the forms and their unique attributes. If you're interested in learning more, you could read up on those on the mod page. In addition to these passive effects, while in an elemental form, your unarmed, arrow, and bolt attacks will automatically be empowered by the type of form you're in at the cost of magicka. These enchantments differ in both appearance and effect between the various elemental forms. For instance, the blood enchantment does damage on top of draining the target's magicka, while the wind enchantment will inflict damage as well as knock back enemies. Every form also comes with 3 dynamic spells, a bolt, blast, and beam spell. As you swap forms, so too will these spells change based on what elemental form you have active. For example, using the blast spell with the water form active will cast a completely different spell than if you have the wind form active. But the most interesting thing about these 3 spells is that they are dynamic in just about every way. As you increase your magic skill levels and overall level, the spell will visually increase in size and explosive power. They will inflict more damage, require less time to cast, and even the range and speed of those spells will increase. This, combined with the new spell learning system, provides an incredible sense of growth to your character that puts vanilla Skyrim to shame. The way this spell learning system functions is when you cast elemental spells, you will gain spell points for that specific element. You could then use these points to learn new spells of that element type. For example, casting fire spells will give you fire points which you could then use to learn other fire spells. There's a minimum level requirement that needs to be met in order to unlock higher tier magic, and the greater the spell, the more spell points will be needed to unlock it. All of this is done using a new power that you have access to that acts as a hub for progressing and specializing your magic. The interface is very intuitive and easy to use. There's quite a few spells that can be learned through this new system, not to mention it has built-in integration with many other popular magic mods, so you'll be able to learn some of your favorite spells from those other mods as well. There's so much potential in this mod for unique character builds, and sitting at just around 10,000 downloads, I think this mod is severely underrated. Keeping with the theme of magic, we have Voidgate, a simple town portal. This mod provides you with a spell that enables you to create a portal that you could step through to travel to another location. When the spell is acquired, you will be able to create an anchor point. When you cast the spell again from anywhere else in the world, a portal will appear that you could physically walk into to travel back to your established anchor point. The spell has custom effects and sounds that make it stand out from other mods. If you've used any other portal or teleport mod, you know that most of these will instantly teleport you after casting the spell, or make you navigate through menus to initiate the teleport. The portal also functions a bit different than your standard teleport mod, making it a bit more balanced and immersive. What I mean by this is, let's say you create an anchor point in Whiterun and then travel into a dungeon. Midway through that dungeon, you decide that you'd like to sell a few items to a merchant, or maybe you need a resupply before continuing your journey. You can cast the portal spell and teleport back to the original anchor point in Whiterun. After you teleport, the original anchor point you placed in Whiterun will swap with the location you just teleported from. What this means is there's an inherent cost attached to using this portal system. It's as if you're signing a contract that you will eventually return to where you left from. This makes it so you can't abuse the teleport system, and you actually have to put some thought into how and when you use it. This also solves the issue of quest mods breaking with other portal mods if you were to teleport away from a location you can't return to. Similar to the dragon riding mod I covered earlier, this is another great alternative way to get around the game without always having to rely on the typical fast travel method. And unlike a lot of mods I cover on this channel, this one is available to those of you on console as well, at least if you're an Xbox user. Sorry PlayStation people, at least you have God of War. I've always disliked the jarring transitions that occur when using Skyrim's standard wait mechanic, as well as how time consuming it can be when waiting for long durations. Dynamic wait is an alternative to Skyrim's standard wait system that solves both of these issues. Essentially, this mod allows you to pass time in front of you by holding a single hotkey. The speed in which time passes when holding the key can be configured within the MCM. There's also a wait ramp up option. When enabled, the speed of time passing will get incrementally faster the longer you hold the key. Additionally, there's an option to speed up NPCs when waiting, although this feature can be a bit buggy. Dynamic wait is by far the simplest of the mods I've covered, but it's one I don't see leaving my mod list anytime soon. As with my other videos, all the mods I feature will be linked down in the description. If you end up downloading any of them, be sure to endorse the mod authors. It's a great way to show your appreciation for their hard work, and it makes it easier for these lesser known mods to be discovered by others. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video and consider subscribing to the channel if you're new. And as always, thank you for watching,